What do you do if you're crocheting along and you run into a loose knot like this, or you run into a strand that isn't even on both sides? I'm showing you both at the same time. That's okay. What you can do is you can loosen up that knot and then make sure that you pull on the ends of both strands. You loosen the knot and then you can pull tight, and there we go. Now that strand is good to go and that knot is looking good. So then you can continue to crochet like there was never a problem in the first place. Another issue that occurs sometimes is you might run across a strand that's too thin and it looks like it's going to start breaking. Or you might be crocheting and it does rip. So just to show you, let's pretend that this is too thin and oh no, it ripped. What do we do? So you are going to take that ripped strand out by loosening the knots on both sides of this ripped strand. So I'm going to go to the right side of this ripped strand and loosen up that knot. And when you loosen that knot, then that ripped strand can come right out. And then you have to do that on the other side as well. We have to take out that ripped strand. Okay. The problem is now our strand of yarn is disconnected. And that's okay, because that's going to happen eventually anyway. You run out of yarn when you're crocheting. There isn't an infinitely large ball of yarn. So you have to learn to connect a new ball of yarn to your current project. You connect a ball of yarn to your current project just like you did when you were assembling the yarn. But instead of this being one loop of plastic bag, it's an entire ball. And that's okay. We got this. You're going to make this your vertical bottom of your capital T. And then you're going to use the ball of yarn and make it the horizontal top. So we got a capital T. So when we were assembling the yarn, we normally stuck one side into the other side, and the same is true here. You're going to take that ball of yarn, stick it into the other end, and then make sure you pull on both ends to make sure that knot is nice and tight and that your strand is looking good. There's no floppy unevenness. One thing that's really nice about crocheting is it's a very forgiving process. Say that you make some mistakes in your stitches and you want to take them out. It's really easy to do. Here's my most recent stitches on this side. So what I'm going to do is hold the yarn in one hand and I'm going to pull against my most recent stitches. And sometimes because there's knots in the yarn, they don't come out right away. You kind of have to use your fingers. There we go. And you can just tug. And those stitches are going to pop right out. So if you ever get stuck or make a mistake and you want to undo some of what you've done, you can just pull on that yarn and those stitches will pop out. And again, sometimes you have to use your fingers to do a little bit of detangling. That's just because of these knots in the yarn. It's not anything that you're doing wrong. As you are crocheting, there's two really important things to remember. The first thing to remember is keep tension on the hook. You don't have to pull with all your might, but have a little bit of tension on the hook as you are crocheting along. What that does is that helps you keep your loops relatively the same size if you're yanking just a little bit on that hook, and it will also help you get a better flow and go a little bit faster. Oh, see, I ran into a not so great looking knot here, so I'm just going to tug a little bit. Much better. Now I can keep going. The other thing you want to remember is don't forget to chain 2 at the end of every row. When you get the end of a row, you want to chain 2 because as your rows come along, see how this is nice and vertical? If you don't chain 2, they'll start getting really tight and they'll start to go like this, and you don't want that. You want it to be nice and loose. So please, please, please remember to chain 2 on the end of every single row. You're always going to do that. And then you'll skip those chains and crochet back into the last loop that you made. Finally, if you are having trouble getting a mat started, I know that my first row, making those chains and getting them to be the right size, took me a lot of time to master. what you can do is contact me and I will crochet the first 3 rows for you. So then all you have to do is go under the loops and make a single stitch. So again, if you're having trouble getting a mat started, let me know. I will start a mat for you and I can leave it in the front office for you to come pick up, and then you can start working on it from there. So please feel free to reach out if you need me to do that, or if you need any other help. I'm here to support you however I can. Thank you again for doing this.